From the center of the universe, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, this is the SDM Show with your host, Rob Cairns. The SDM Show focuses on business, life, productivity, digital marketing, WordPress, and more. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite drink, and enjoy the show. Here is Rob.
Hey everybody, I'm Rob Cairns. I'm the founder, CEO, and chief creator of Amazing Ideas at Stunning Digital Marketing. In today's podcast, I have Taco from Yoast. And of course, we're going to talk about all things Yoast. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This podcast is sponsored by Stunning Digital Marketing, the agency that can help protect your WordPress website today. Go to stunningdigitalmarketing.com and see what we can do to help you protect your business investment. That's stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Hey everybody, Rob here again. And today I'm here with my good friend Taco from Yoast. How are you today, Taco?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Canada's a little hot right now. We're at the time of this record, we're going into our Thanksgiving long weekend, and it feels like summer out there. So, and how are you doing?
Yeah, so basically this is the end of my work week, and I'm looking back at a fun week with a lot of new challenges. So yeah, and a lot of fun stuff coming up at Yoast, so that's good.
Yeah, and you're obviously wearing a Yoast t-shirt. I should tell you, burgundy is one of my favorite colors. So, and we didn't talk before the show, did we?
Not at all.
Not at all. So, how long you been at Yoast now, Taco? You've been there since before it was acquired. After you're going on like over 10 years, aren't you?
Yeah, just over 10 years. August 1st marked 10 years for me at Yoast. So that's why maybe you can see it in the background. Let me see. Always a mirror over there. Yes, there's a little thingy that says Yoast 10 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're at Yoast for 10 years, you get one of those.
Congratulations, my friend. And 10 years for a company in the digital space is a long time. So
it is, yeah. But it's still a fun journey.
Yeah. And you were with Yoast before they were acquired by Newfold, right? So you've been there for a long time. How's that done for the culture of Yoast? Has it meshed really well, or has it had its challenges, or culture's always interesting?
Yes. So obviously a bit of both. The good thing is that in the whole sales process for Yoast, the old board really looked at which company is a good cultural fit, has similar core values as Yoast. So that made integration a whole lot easier because we're looking at the same things. We just started October, which is Diversity Awareness Month.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in diversity and inclusion has always been important at Yoast, and it is very important for Newfold as well. So those values align really well, and that makes it so much easier to have that integration.
Yeah, it's so true. And I think more and more companies, that's one of their core values is diversity. Certainly in Canada, we've gone through those challenges. I am so glad I don't live in that country south of me because they have bigger challenges than we do, as you know. And I think, like, I really think diversity and inclusion means accepting people for who they are. I really do. And that's a big thing.
Yeah. And and that is accepting people, but also creating a workspace that will actively welcome them to your workspace, I think is a vital part of having that discussion. It's not just we have people who are very different at our company, but it's making them feel at home at your company or in your community that matters.
And making them valued and wanted too,
Yes.
to include on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What It's funny, people think of Yoast and they say, talking to a colleague the other day, Yoast, and he said to me, the SEO plugin with the traffic light, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is the red, white, and blue. And I think what people need to realize is those traffic lights are only a measure of what you're doing, and it's only part of the solution. It's like a guide. What's your thoughts around that?
Yeah. So, so the fun thing is the traffic lights are gamification.
Yes.
It's challenging you to be better at all of the checks that our SEO experts came up with. And all of those contribute to building a good page and to increasing your chances to rank well in the search engines.
Yeah.
What we often hear is when we talk about websites with people, they say, yeah, I'm using WordPress. Obviously, then I ask, are you using Yoast? They, no, never heard of Yoast. I don't know Yoast. But when I ask, do you have traffic lights that help you write your content? They go like, yes, that's an amazing feature of WordPress.
So they are using Yoast.
Yes. So this is where we need to work on our branding a little bit. But yeah, we have a lot of those sort of dormant users. They don't know they're using our product, but they actively are.
Yeah. So that means your branding isn't as strong as you think it is. I mean, people like myself who have been in the community over 15 years know who Yoast is, know who you are, even though we've until lately not really spoken. But, the community is a small place. We all know who the big players are, where they sit, what they stand on. And I think a lot of these younger generation kids or people or adults, they don't have that same community involvement that we do. So they don't always have the same values and recognition.
Yeah, and I don't think that everyone who uses WordPress needs to be in the WordPress community, even though by using WordPress, they sort of are.
I agree with.
But I think there's a difference between the whole 43% of the internet using WordPress versus the 10,000 people that make the active WordPress community that comes together at events and talks about WordPress online. And there's a huge gap in numbers between the two.
Yep.
And I think that, within the 10,000 active contributors, that core community of WordPress, you're right, we're doing pretty well in our branding. But to the overall WordPress users, I think there's room for improvement still.
Yeah, there's always room for improvement. I think when the day we stop improving is the day we start growing. If somebody's looking at Yoast and saying, I should use Yoast to help manage my SEO, what's the number one selling feature, would you say?
So the one I'm most proud of is not necessarily the number one selling, but is the inclusive language checks that we released earlier this year.
Yep.
Which helps you write for a broader audience. Because SEO is about being found in search engines, which means that you want to reach as broad audience as you can, because you're as long as they search for something that's related to your website. If you then manage to end up in the top 3 of the search results, people click on your result, and you accidentally offend them or alienate them by using the wrong words, I think that is problematic, because you can win them over in the search, but if you then lose them when they reach your site, that's not helpful. So that's why I'm super proud of that inclusive language feature. It's not utilized enough It's something that you have to enable on your site in Yoast SEO. And I think that more people could benefit from it still. At this point, the number one feature that people will go to the paid version for is probably access to our amazing support team.
Yes. And your support team is amazing, and they should be commended. I would say that's the biggest reason, and frankly, to support the plugin, to say, hey guys, I'm using this every day. I don't want it to go away, and folks, the only way to make sure plugins don't go away is to pay for them. Honestly, like I wholly believe that.
It's sometimes surprising because the free plugin is installed by roughly 13 million sites, which is quite a lot. And our paying customers, pool of paying customers is a lot smaller. But the paying customers are paying for the development for the entire thing. And the fact that we have a company behind the product, which makes it sustainable.
Yeah. It's so true, and if it's not sustainable, it just goes away. We saw that recently with and I'm trying to remember the name of it. There was a theme shop. They were bought, and then the new owner just closed it down in the last couple of weeks, and there's been stuff like that going on. It just makes it really hard. What is your most requested feature for Yoast?
I think that the most requested one is if I install Yoast SEO, can you make me rank first?
No.
I wish. I wish. We'd be having an entirely different conversation if that was possible. But just installing a plugin to immediately get on top of everyone else.
Yeah.
We talk about SEO as search engine optimization. But really, it stands for seriously effortful optimization, because you need to put in the work. The tool, Yoast SEO, is just a guide to help you become the best result. But in the end, it's going to be you who's writing content, who builds the site structure, and who's doing all the optimization and all the content writing.
Yeah, I think honestly, I think where people fall on SEO is they don't do keyword research, number one, and then the worst thing even worse they don't do is they don't do competitors research, number two. So I always tell my clients, and dirty little marketing secret is create an email address that nobody knows what it is and sign up for all your competitors' newsletters so you can figure out what your competitors are doing at the end of the day.
Yeah. So, or have your own strength and build on that. That's the other approach to online marketing, I guess.
Yeah, there's a really good book out there called The Inside Advantage. It was written in 2009 by a guy by the name of Robert Bloom. And what he talks about exactly that, how to make your business different so you stand out from everybody else. So it's really, really important. So, and by the way, if you could make them rank number one, you'd be a millionaire, and so would I with you, and we'd all be happy, right?
Yeah.
Because it's funny. If I get one more snake oil email from an SEO expert saying, I can have you rank number one in 30 days, I'm just, it's just not happening in this market.
Well, the interesting thing is that even if that's true, and they make you rank number one by using all the dirty tricks in the book for black hat SEOs, chances that you'll stay number one or stay in the search results for a long time are slim to none.
No.
And yeah, that's why at Yoast we talk a lot about holistic SEO. So it's not just technical optimizations. It's not just site speed. It's not just the best content. It's not just the most user-friendly website. It's the combination of all of those factors and many more that make your website a success. Because in the end, Google's, and I'm using Google because that's the most used search
Yep.
engine. But Google's goal is to provide people with an answer
Mhm.
and to provide people with the best results to their question or query. And the way to rank number one is to be the best result in all of those aspects.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's what we suggest people do, and that's what we teach them in the Yoast SEO Academy as well.
Yeah. And the other thing I would ask is, and I don't know if you can answer this or not, but I'm gonna go there, is are you planning on doing anything with AI?
We already do.
Okay.
I think it's now 6 weeks, 6 weeks
Yeah.
ago that we launched our first AI features. Um, if I could, I would show you the video, but I don't have it at hand right now because we made a really cute release video with a little robot that takes
Oh,
his first
nice.
step into SEO, and
That's
and that is where we are at with AI. These are the first steps, but there's so much awesomeness coming that I can't talk about just yet. But the team is really working hard to uh, well build more than just another content generator, but
yeah.
really make it work for your SEO and help you write that original content and help you build a really good website.
Yeah. And by the way, more awesomeness means an excuse to get you back one day so we can when it comes down the road, right? Always.
Oh, I will happily come back.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
There's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the AI space. And I think
Sure.
what we all need to realize is it's not, from my standpoint, it's not changing how we do, it's changing how we do our jobs, not eliminating our jobs. And that's the biggest thing. Like,
I think that's true for most jobs. Yeah,
yeah, for most.
yeah.
Um, Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I could be, but I don't think I'm. Didn't Yoast branch out to Shopify at one time as well? Like, don't you have a
You are
Shopify?
absolutely correct. Yes.
How is that? How is that going?
So that was really interesting because even when I joined Yoast 10 years ago,
Yeah,
we already had quite the name because of the founder Joost de Valk, who was a known and still is a known face in WordPress and in SEO.
yeah,
Um, and with our venture into Shopify, we explored a whole new area with a community that we never interacted with before. That is very different from the open source WordPress community. So we basically had to start from scratch
oh, ouch.
because our name didn't mean a whole lot in that Shopify community yet. So that was a really interesting experience. And fortunately, I can say that both our product teams have done an amazing job in building a super valuable app for Shopify. But also, the marketing team has been killing it.
Yeah.
And as we said before, support's amazing. So they've been helping customers on live chat in Shopify. And yeah, we really see Shopify grow fast at the moment. And it's
Yeah.
going really, really well.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. And you just mentioned something interesting. You said your marketing team is killing it. And that is telling because I don't think technology companies do a really good job at marketing. I really don't. Being a marketer myself, I think they leave money on the table all the time. They don't market well. They don't know what their customers are. They look at sales and say, we get them. I mean, even the big boys, like the one is probably Apple that does a hell of a job at marketing. And we know that they've created super fans, which is a big deal. But even web creatives, they leave money on the table all the time. They don't do a good job.
Yeah, I think that one of the earliest hires at Yoast by Joost de Valk at the time was Erwin.
Yep.
And Erwin is our illustrator.
Okay.
And he created the avatars, he created the whole Yoast style. And I think that has been a brilliant move for branding because um, what we see is that we have the recognizable avatars, we have the Yoast style on the website, but also in the plugin. People immediately recognize the images and the whole overall style of our branding, and that's been working fantastic.
Yeah. And you're such a leader that you redid your dashboard a little bit a while ago. And everybody in the community said, why isn't core like this? Like, you remember those discussions, right? We all looked at it.
Yeah.
And that tells me how recognized Yoast is as a company, how recognized you are in our community of people who talk WordPress. And you should be really congratulated for that, because the new dashboard looks absolutely great.
Yeah, and the thing that fits well with our company, of course, is that we open source the whole UI library for it.
Yeah.
So if you go to uilibrary.yoast.com, you'll have access to the whole thing. And we actually saw other plugins, but also Bluehost with their redesign is using that same UI in their admin panels, and that is probably the biggest compliment that we could get for doing that.
Yeah, and their redesign's been going on, and it looks really good, actually. So, maybe it can trigger some people an idea to get the UI changed in core, because that's one of my biggest complaints in WordPress is the UI looks so 10 years ago at this point, right? So,
well, and that's not strange, because the current admin UI was introduced with the MP6 project in WordPress 3.7, which was about 10 years ago.
Yeah, you're dating yourself. Me too.
Yep.
It's true. And but you've done a lot, and you've given the community a lot to think about. So that's appreciated. Besides AI, is there any new thing coming down on the roadmap that you're in a position that you can share, or not really at this point?
Yes to the first question, no to the second.
Okay.
Yes, there's absolutely coming stuff soon, but not that I can talk about just yet. So keep an eye out on the website, sign up for the newsletter, and you'll be amongst the first to know.
Follow Taco on X, formerly known as Twitter, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I try to be a little bit more active on LinkedIn as well, but I still don't fully understand that network. So
come join the WordPress product community. Shameless plug.
I will.
Yeah, I co-manage that community. Yeah, so so it's like, come. Because I think there's a lot of people concerned about SEO, and I think, truthfully, it's harder to do today than it was 10 years ago when you and I started at it. I think 10 years ago there was a lot. If you threw it out there, you threw what's his name out of Australia, the master blogger. Oh, I'm gonna kill myself. That's okay. He wrote a how to write a blog every day for 30 days, and that would increase your SEO. And there was truth to that at that time. But those are all tactics. They don't work well anymore, to be honest with you.
Well, so the interesting thing is that yes, a lot has changed. Technology-wise, we have a lot more options nowadays. The addition of schema and the broader adoption of schema is a huge game changer. And at the same time, the advice that we gave 10 years ago is still valid today, because we never said you should put white text on a white background and that will get you ranked. We've said it worked. It worked back in the day. Maybe not 10 years ago. That was 15, but still.
Yeah.
The advice that we've been giving for the last 10 years, which still works, is if you want to rank number one, you have to be the best result. And that holistic vision, even though technology changed a little bit, but it's still true. The only thing is site speed. Your website used to be fast if you had a 4-second loading time. Back in 2019, my former colleague, Jono Alderson, gave a talk that said 0.6 seconds is the new slow. And these changes happen all the time. But the overall story, your website should be fast, usable, user-friendly, and provide value.
Yeah.
Those haven't changed.
Yeah. The biggest challenge with site speed is mobile. And the reason mobile is you're lucky in the Netherlands. I assume you get pretty good mobile site speeds. We have 5G in Canada now, being in a major outside of major cities, so that's not an issue. But you get into some of these countries and their mobile speeds are, I hate to say it, god awful. And that is a challenge from an SEO.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if you realize that large parts of the world will only have a mobile phone.
Yeah.
They don't have a laptop. They don't have a computer. They have their mobile phone, and that is it. That is the way they interact with the internet.
Yeah.
So,
But we're seeing that more and more even in Canada. Like you take somebody like my partner, and she has a desktop at work. Okay, so that's fine. She goes home and she does everything on an iPhone or an iPad, mobile. There's no. I mean, they have the internet at home, but what I'm saying is more and more people are ditching the computers at home unless they need them professionally. It's just totally been a game changer.
yeah. Yeah, and that's not strange because I mean this little thing can do much more than my old Nokia 3310 back in the day.
Yeah, it's true.
It is a computer.
And the memory in your pocket, like who would have thought that the mobile phone beside me, which I got in the last year, cost me more than the laptop that's in the corner that I got in the last year? Like who would have ever thought, right, Taco? It's just
Yeah, and I mean if you're old enough, I'm not sure what the demographic of the audience of your podcast is, but if you're old enough, you'll remember someone saying 64K is enough for everyone.
yes, I do.
Yeah, I don't think that still holds true.
I can remember being on a healthcare project right around the year 2000 where we were fighting over 64 and 128 meg PCs and the cost differential at that time.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
I can imagine. Yeah.
I remember those days. So we talked a little bit about Yoast. How's it working? I know we talked a little bit before we went there, but you're part of a bigger company, Newfold. You do a lot of work with Bluehost and other Newfold brands. How's that working out for you?
So that's a game changer.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about having a plugin in WordPress, and especially a free plugin, is that you cannot do any tracking unless people opt in,
Mhm.
which, let's put it mildly, people are not very tempted to.
No, they're not. With privacy issues, especially in EU, that's not happening.
Yeah. So basically, you're building your product blind.
Uh-oh.
We build what we feel is needed, what people need for their websites. Well, being the SEO experts, we can tell people this is what you need SEO wise, and we can do user research with specific user groups. But there's not a whole lot of feedback from the entire group of users. And then we joined Newfold, and we started talking to Bluehost a lot more, and they are obviously a huge host in the WordPress space.
Big. Yeah.
So they have a lot of data on how people use their website and how people use the admin of their website, including some data on how plugins are used. So all of a sudden, we could sort of peek behind the curtain and see how Yoast was used by Bluehost users. And that has been a huge game changer for our product development. And it's one of the amazing synergies that happen being part of the same brand.
Yeah, I'm sure because it's all in the analytics, right? To some degree.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I would think so. Is there anything else you'd like to share that we haven't touched on or would like to mention about Yoast or what's going on?
So there's two things that I always love to talk about,
Sure.
and that my community team is super happy when I do talk about them, and that's the two funds that we have at Yoast. Because we have a Yoast Diversity Fund,
Yep.
which aims to take away financial barriers from for speakers from typically underrepresented groups in tech. So if people apply to speak at a WordCamp and they're part of an underrepresented group, and they have financial struggles to be able to travel to that WordCamp or even to a meetup.
Yeah.
Let's say you need to cover childcare in order to go to your local meetup, or you need to stay at a hotel because the city is just too far away for you to drive back and forth for the WordCamp that you're speaking at. You can reach out to the Yoast Diversity Fund, and we will, in most cases, help you cover all or part of the cost that you're making, but taking away that financial barrier that keeps you from speaking at the meetup or the WordCamp. It's one of the things I'm most proud of that we do,
Yeah.
and I'm hoping that people will help spread the word, because still we talked about diversity at the start, and I think it's everything we do circles back to it, because
Yeah.
we want to increase the diversity of all the events that we're running, because we have so many amazing people who are currently not getting the spotlight they deserve.
Yeah, that's so true. And you should be commended for doing that. Congrats.
Yeah, and so the other fund that I talked about is the Yoast Care Fund, which is slightly different, because that's available for everyone. Well, if you're nominated, because what we see is that a lot of people contribute to WordPress, to the WordPress project, spending their time, not work hours, they're not sponsored contributors, but their own time on the project.
Yeah.
And we saw that happening a couple of years ago, where a lot of self-employed web developers were spending a lot of time on the WordPress project, and we wanted to have a way to celebrate them. And so we came up with the Yoast Care Fund, which is short for Community Appreciation Rewards. But Care in itself already says it all, I guess. And so what you can do is, if you have such a hidden gem, someone working their own time on the WordPress project, doing valuable work, but not getting a whole lot of recognition for it, you can nominate them for the Yoast Care Fund, and when accepted, you will hold an interview with them that will be published on the Yoast.com website, so that we surface those hidden gems in our community worldwide. And there's a little grant connected to it, so a financial stimulation to continue doing the awesome work that they're already doing.
That's great.
So that's also one of the things that I'm super proud of. And as I said, my community team is always happy when I talk about that, because more people should know. And we hope to get now hundreds of applications a year.
That would be amazing if you did too. But thank you for making a difference in our community. That means a lot. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, Taco, how's the best way?
So I'm pretty active on X, previous Twitter. I keep calling it Twitter because X is a stupid name. Sorry, Elon. You can find me on LinkedIn, and of course in the Make WordPress Slack. In most of the places I go by Taco Verdo, which is the first 5 letters of my last name, because my full last name kills people when they try to pronounce it.
Yeah, me included, by the way, I have to tell you. Thank you, sir. You have a wonderful day. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fantastic.
This show is brought to you by StunningDigitalMarketing.com, your Toronto leader in digital marketing services. Not only do we protect your WordPress website, we can help you with your site, provide social media management for your business, or even do one-on-one consulting. To find out more, go to StunningDigitalMarketing.com. A very special thank you to Taco for joining me on this edition of the STM Show. Hey everybody, Rob here again. Thanks for listening to the STM Show. It's such a pleasure to have you every week. If you want more on our agency website, go to stunningdigitalmarketing.com. We are your WordPress security experts. We'd be glad to help you out. If you want to learn more about me, Rob Cairns, go to meetrobcairns.online. From there, you can find links to everything I do on the web, as well as book time with me. So feel free. If you want to make comments about this podcast or know a guest possibly suitable for the podcast, please email us at podcast@stunningdigitalmarketing.com. Or conversely, you can go to X, formerly known as Twitter, and tweet at me at Rob Cairns. This podcast is dedicated to my late father, Bruce Cairns. Dad, I miss you very much, and I love you. Please join us next week for another interesting podcast, and have a great week, everybody. Bye for now.